patriarchy gave the sun a sex change. The sun is not masculine and the moon is not feminine. Let's just use some critical thinking and some common sense. The truth is twisted. Everything is inverted because this is patriarchy world. Old Earth is a world of inversion, which is why toxic masculinity dominates and rules the fucking planet. Feminine is squashed, dehumanized, objectified, sexualized, raped, abused, oppressed, all her energy harvested for their own use. And you're going to keep believing that the sun is masculine energy. The sun is feminine. The sun is not a masculine energy. The sun is not masculine at all. Feminine energy is the light, is the life giver, is the source, the light that gives birth to all of creation. Feminine energy gives birth, brings life into existence, and then sustains that life. If we don't have the sun, life cannot be sustained on this planet. We as humans cease to exist. Almost all beings on the planet cease to exist without the sun. We need the sun for everything. The sun sustains life. It gives us life. It sustains our lives on this planet. The sun is feminine energy. We cannot have life without the sun, without the feminine. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful divine beings. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, and we're going to dive in to how patriarchy gave the sun a sex change. Yeah, you heard me right. So the sun is not masculine and the moon is not feminine. And it is time in our era of, for those who are awakening for real, actually waking up for real and raising your level of consciousness and unplugging from the old patriarchal prison planet of enslavement and brainwashing and indoctrination and inversion. Everything is inversion in the patriarchal world. Okay. So part of that inversion, where y'all know, if you're waking up for real, even if you don't know to what extent, histories have been almost completely erased and just rewritten, and pretend history was put in its place. That's part of our school systems of indoctrination and things, to wipe out what happened in history, to completely erase the feminine, even though this is a feminine planet, to completely erase women and the feminine from existence, and to dominate and take over, control the world, and harvest feminine energy and all the fun things that we came here to fight against. For those souls who incarnated in this lifetime. That's patriarchy. And one of the things that was included in that is literally to give the sun a sex change, to the inversion that happens in patriarchy, right? So the sun is feminine. The sun is not a masculine energy. The sun is not masculine at all. Think about it. Hello. Let's just use some critical thinking and some common sense, which I know has been all but brainwashed out of you because they want everybody dumb and blind, just blindly follow, no critical thinking skills. But, say you have logic. That's part of the brainwashing, to be so stupid and have no ability to critically think, and to be so emotionally fragile, because your critical thinking skills is based on your emotional intelligence, by the way. How rational and practical you are is actually equates to the level of emotional maturity you have. That's part of the brainwash. They keep everybody dumb, blind, immature, emotionally fragile, not able to process and handle any goddamn emotions at all. You're so fragile and weak and powerless, can't handle anything. All done by design. Thank you, inversion world of patriarchy, imprisonment, and enslavement, planet of oppression. So to wake up out of that, as you do in levels and layers, if you're waking up for real, it's time to get rid of the whole women follow the cycle of the moon horse shit and dance naked under the, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to educate you on, you're worshiping patriarchy, women. Why do you think when healers, seers, women with healing abilities, psychic abilities, the wise ones are immediately called witches, hunted, burned, killed, murdered, mass murder of women, of seers, of because they need to get rid of all of you to erase history, rewrite history, and to make sure that women don't commune together, don't use their powers and all the things. Okay, to then turn women into witches. You're a witch. And to also twist and invert that witches follow the moon and your spells are according to the moon cycles and blah, blah, blah. And your menstrual cycles are according to the moon and the moon cycles and blah, blah, blah. That's all inversion. They gave the sun a fucking sex change, y'all. And not through consent, by the way. It's a forced sex change, demonic sex change. The sun is feminine. So think about what feminine energy, if you really have a clue what feminine energy is. Feminine energy is the light, is the life giver, is the source, the light that gives birth to all of creation. Feminine energy gives birth, brings life into existence, and then sustains that life. Okay? Very simple. So the sun keeps us alive. If we don't have the sun, we cannot be sustained. Life cannot be sustained on this planet. We as humans cease to exist. Almost all beings on the planet cease to exist without the sun. We need the sun for everything. The sun sustains life. It gives us life. It sustains our lives on this planet. Is that what masculine energy does, people? Can we critically think and get out of the spell of fucking patriarchy that they cast these goddamn brainwashing spells and you just fucking believe shit? And then you're brainwashed into being and contributing to the inversion and worship of masculine energy, of patriarchy itself, the moon, but call it feminine, and you have no clue what you're doing because that's part of indoctrination and brainwashing. You don't know what you're doing if you're brainwashed, obviously, but you keep doing it because you don't know any better because you're living in brainwashed ignorance. So they turned women and everything about women witches. So they're empowered and waking up. But then they do all these, and I mean, I'm not talking about anything evil. I'm talking about healthy, wonderful magic spells and whatever. You do these things according to like the moon when you're putting your energy toward continuing to put your energy towards inversion, towards patriarchy. That isn't feminine energy. The sun is feminine energy. It gives life. It sustains life. We cannot have life without the sun, without the feminine. What is feminine energy then? The sun or the moon? It's the sun. So you need to understand what you're putting your energy for. And then, well, why are women's menstrual cycles in sync with, yeah, good question. Why are they? Funny, we are consistently heavily poisoned. Everything is hormone disruptors. Everything, we are not in sync. Women are not in sync with their cycles, synced up with the cycle of Mother Earth because we are poisoned. All the poison that we get, air, water, foods, all are hormone disruptors. Y'all, mostly anybody listening to me knows this by now. This is for educational entertainment purposes only, by the way, as my disclaimer. So all the hormonal disruptors, not to mention, look at how many days we have in a month. we're supposed to have even number of days every month for 13 months. Even that's been taken out and rewritten in our fucking patriarchal inverted fuckery world of imprisonment and enslavement, of bullshit nonsense where actual history is, for the most part, completely erased and gone. You're not learning. You're not becoming wise by listening to what you're taught what they want you to believe. Entertainment purposes only, remember. Isn't it just for fun? Ha. So understand something. The truth is twisted. Everything is inverted because this is patriarchy world. Old Earth is a world of inversion, which is why toxic masculinity dominates and rules the fucking planet. Feminine is squashed, dehumanized, objectified, sexualized, raped, abused, oppressed, dominated over, all her energy harvested for their own use. And you're going to keep believing that like the sun is masculine energy when it sustains all of life. This is not, take a breath for those who are still easily triggered, especially if you're a man. I've said this before. It's the truth. But we need to be mature enough and divine enough to hear this truth. Men are actually not literally needed on the planet. Women don't need men to procreate. They just need to evolve and become more divine. Parthenogenesis is how women used to procreate. They just did it. And that's been erased from our history for the most part. Immaculate conception. It's like Mother Mary's one of the only ones you ever hear about in history. And the way they write about it's insane. She was from a lineage of women, priestesses. Her mother knew that she was going to, through parthenogenesis, give birth to a little girl that was going to be in their line of priestesses. That lineage, she was going to, through parthenogenesis, give birth to who would then be the Messiah. So Mother Mary's mother knew she was, 2 generations away from the Messiah, and that was the lineage that was to bring him into existence. And she had other children, and it was just to birth this great avatar. Mother Mary is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, most magnificent, miraculous avatars ever to walk this earth. Far more even than Jesus. Of course, you're not going to hear that because that's erased from history. Giving life and sustaining life and growing life, part of that requires the cells of your body require sunlight to live, to function properly. Your cells don't function at their optimal levels if you don't get enough sunlight. You need to be out in the sun. Again, world of inversion, old Earth. Why do you think putting toxic, poisonous fucking sunscreens became a thing to get you out of the fucking sun? It's just one of the 1,000 layers that they do to keep you enslaved, dumbed down. An excuse to poison you and to make sure your body can't heal and function properly because you're not getting enough goddamn sunlight. You need to be in the sun. Okay? It's not the sun that causes fucking cancer. Like we need the sun for our cells to function optimally. Like we need the sun to literally be alive and sustain life. That's not the source of cancer. Entertainment purposes, just my opinion. I mean, it's just insane. So that feminine energy that gives you life and sustains life, that's the sun, that's feminine energy. Okay. Now, I mentioned before with masculine energy, men, why am I bringing up, again, I mentioned several different times, several different podcast episodes, parthenogenesis is real. Of course, they wanted to erase it from history. Women do not need men to procreate to give birth. They don't need to create life. They don't need men to create life at all. There's nothing about a man that a woman needs to create life. Now, a sick woman, out of balance with her hormones, low level of consciousness, you're dumbed down to where you need a second human in order to get pregnant, and bring another human into the planet. Why do you think women are dumbed down and unconscious and controlled and oppressed and rights taken away? Because the powers that be know the fucking truth about the power of woman. We don't need you, men, and we don't. Now, and don't get your feelings hurt. You better not be so emotionally fragile, because it doesn't mean you don't have value. Now, you toxic masculine piece of shit sociopathic men don't have any fucking value. You do nothing but destroy everything on the planet, including women and animals and every nature. You don't have value. That's the problem with patriarchy. But divine men, it doesn't mean you don't have value. So think about where your level of wounding and consciousnesses and patriarchal brainwashing is. If you hear something like women don't need men and you immediately misinterpret that as I have no value, you're saying I have no value. Fucking heal yourself. Look, right here, masterselfuniversity.com. Have the website up, scrolling across the bottom of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. Go there and become a student and you can heal that shit. Get that fucking shit gone. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. It's not about you not having value. Okay. It's about toxic masculine, patriarchy, inverted world, devaluing women to the point where they are nothing but objects, and they are so violently abused and raped and tortured and used and dehumanized on this planet. Okay. That you're seeing the uprising in women, like we've had enough. Okay. So when I say to you, women don't actually need men, if you're triggered and offended, go fucking heal yourself. You're not hearing the teaching. We don't actually need you. If all the men on the planet died, guess what? Earth would thrive. Because the predators and the violators and the ones who create war and the violence would literally just poof, be gone from the fucking planet. All of nature, all the beings on this planet would actually thrive, and we would shift way faster into oneness if the men just poof were gone. That's the sad truth. Okay. And let's just pretend for a minute that you could push a button, all the violators, all the horrible men in the world, all the toxic masculine men would all disappear in 1 second, gone. They're all gone. No matter how young they start being little fucking toxic masculine pieces of shit, all of them gone. And the only ones left are the, I wish I could say, I cannot wait one day till I could not say small percentage of men. I wish this were a higher percentage. It is not yet. There is a very small percentage of men, at least right now, that they are really healing and elevating and raising their level of consciousness, and they're really connecting to their own divine natures. And let's say that that small percentage of men were allowed to stay. So when you push the button, all the toxic masculine, scary, evil, raping, violent, aggressive, out of control, sexist, misogynistic monster men would all disappear. And the small percentage of men who are healing and elevating and all that, they get to stay. Poof. We now have new earth. We get to regenerate and change how community functions, how we function and work. All of our systems get to shift and change so that they all reflect oneness together. And you lucky small percentage of men who got to come along for the ride of oneness, you really get to benefit from that. So I just pushed that button and that just happened. Let's just pretend. Okay. The humanity would not die out just because there's a tiny percentage of men that would be able to come to New Earth if I push that button. Okay, because men are really, really fucking far behind on this whole waking up thing and healing and not being a threat anymore. And I mean, you all should know that. Like, so fucking far behind. It's just like, what the fuck? So it really is only a small percentage of men who are really doing the work on themselves that would be able, if I push this magic button, right? But I want you to understand something. That small percentage of men, it's not like those men would then be the only men that we wouldn't actually use sex to populate the earth. We would use what women divinely, naturally are able to do, and that would be parthenogenesis. And the more that women heal and elevate, it's coming back online anyway. There are reports of it all over and all throughout history. Women who literally raise their level of consciousness, fast, they get completely unplugged from the old system, then they even a lot of times stop getting your menstrual cycle. You even don't even get a period anymore. Nothing to do with menopause. Or you'll get it once in a while. And I'm talking about young teenagers, 20s, 30s. Like, you don't even get it. And you can just, at one point, create a baby, parthenogenesis, and go through that whole divine spiritual process. And then you can bring a baby. And that baby, you're bringing a very high being onto the planet. Very high being onto the planet. Whether that being is a little girl or a little boy, you are birthing a very high frequency being. That's the point. Okay. So this whole earth would regenerate and thrive, and we would boom, just skyrocket into the more advanced stages of an age of enlightenment. It would happen very quickly. So when I say we would function as a feminine planet should function, that's part of how a feminine planet would function. Okay. And we would be out in the sun, the feminine sun, healing, regenerating, and that would be part of everybody's practice. You would work, you would be in the sun for a certain amount every day. That's feminine sustaining your life for you, because feminine energy gives birth, she transforms, she sustains. Like, that's your life. You only exist because of feminine. So again, take the sun away. When that's the truth, you take the sun away and all beings would die. So what is the sun? It's psychotic. Like, use critical thinking. But of course, you can't use critical thinking when you're dumbed down and when manipulation and inversion exists of what feminine energy even is and what masculine energy is. And masculine is leadership. At pretty much anything you fucking hear, just flip it around the other way. And there's your truth for the most part. Some things that you're brainwashed with really are actually that black and white. The moon, lunar energy, is a supportive energy. Masculine energy is a supportive energy in its purity. Actual divine masculine, divine feminine. The supportive energy, that the moon doesn't sustain life. The sun, we will die without it. Done. Okay? That's feminine energy. Everything dies without feminine energy. That's what gives birth, creates life, is feminine. So whatever you would die, that's feminine energy. Without, that's feminine energy. It's not as feminine. Patriarchy gave the sun a sex change. So when patriarchy took over, erased history and rewrote it to however he wanted it to be, so that the enslavement process and the prison planet, we could go deeper into enslavement and imprisonment by indoctrination, lies, pretending like it's education, and all the things that they want to teach you. So you just believe it. You grow up believing it, because that's brainwashing is. The sun god, sun god, but the sun was goddess anyway. Like, the sun was goddess energy. It was, the deity, the sun, was goddess energy, and that got erased and rewritten, and suddenly there was your sex change, that the sun is now masculine instead of a feminine energy. Inversion, patriarchy did that. Patriarchy initiated and forced that sex change onto the sun. Sounds like a familiar theme in our society today. To force it. Hmm. That could be for another episode. The sun is feminine. So anybody who's, yeah, lunar cycle, your menstrual cycle is not supposed to actually sync up with the moon. Part of that is poison, hormone disruptors, brainwashing. So you partially command your reality. There's a lot of things that create your reality and your experiences. If you learn more higher level of quantum energetics, you learn this more easily in all the levels that you need to understand to truly educate yourself in it. Part of what you're doing to co-create your reality, co-create, is based on your beliefs, what you focus your energy on. So guess what? When you're filled with poison, hormone disruptors, brainwashing, you believe that lunar energy is feminine and you're going to put all your attention and your focused energy onto that. Guess what you're holding in place on the planet? You're holding it, patriarchy in place. Energetically, you're putting like your energy as women has been harvested and is used to hold patriarchy in place. So if you don't want that to be the case anymore, and you don't want your energy going to what holds patriarchy in place, which is a system of oppression, enslavement for all humans, but especially women, then you unplug from it. All the, you know, witchcraft, and I'm talking about benevolent, good, healthy, divine, spells and witchcraft and all that kind of thing. We're not ever talking about dark magic or anything evil. The patriarchy takes care of that. They do nothing but dark magic, black magic, and evil. All of us are under spells constantly. You haven't woken up to that part yet. That's why they scare you with, black magic and evil, and they say it's witches, witches, witches. It's all witches. What they mean is women, women, women. But they trick everyone because it's the world of inversion. They trick everyone, especially women, like, oh, step into your power. And then women are like, oh, I'm a witch, witchy. Oh, I do magic. I do spells, blah, blah, blah. And I do it under the moon. You're putting all your focused energy back into patriarchy. So you're only going to get so far. Now you're so incredibly powerful. You might be doing magic and you're going to see results. But like when you're, again, history erased, rewritten to manipulate and trick, how would you know the difference? So witchcraft and spell books and things like that, where everything is based on lunar cycles and the moon. That stuff came forward for the most part after patriarchy gave the sun a sex change. Because if you put the majority of your focused energy and attention and you work with the sun for the sun to fuel your magic, everybody's magic. Of course, they want you to think that that's fake and pretend and fantasy TV show and fantasy movies only, so that you'll think it's ridiculous, so that you'll judge people as woo woo or crazy. Oh, you're insane. I can't listen to you. Or that you'll be afraid of it and you'll never wake up to it, that you yourself are a multi-dimensional magical being. Like, you're magic. You have magic. You're capable of magic. Co-creating with the cosmos to manifest things into existence is magic. Science is just evidence and proof of how magic exists and works for us to understand in our human form. That's what science is. Science is just evidence and proof of how magic functions. And guess what? The majority of science, no matter how much you think scientists know, and scientific research, scientific research, oh, it's fucking insane. The majority of science, they don't know fuck all what they're looking at. They're like, I have no idea. This doesn't make any sense. Let's observe this. Let's watch these particles completely change and behave differently just because we're observing them. What is happening? Let's try to understand quantum entanglement, really. And it's constantly changing because it all has a consciousness. And, science cannot come anywhere close to describing what true magic is, and we are magic by nature. We are magical, mystical, multidimensional, divine beings. So of course we're magic. All right. So if you, especially women, were to put all your focused energy when doing, manifestation, that's magic. So magic, creation, when you're focusing on creating, co-creating, and you're focused on the sun herself, and you utilize her who gives you life and sustains your life. If you want to manifest and you use the sun and your energy, your focused attention is going to her, that feminine energy that births and creates and sustains life and activates transformation and alchemy. That's all feminine energy, which is an aspect of sun energy. Okay. Again, patriarchy erased sun goddesses that were worshipped and honored and all the things that helped in their magic and manifesting things into existence. They utilized the sun's rays, the sun's energy, the sun's frequencies, combined it with our own, brought it into our womb chakra, our womb portals. Women did this all the time, utilizing the sun's energy, her energy, life force energy, the sustaining of. So you use this energy and these frequencies from the sun herself, and you bring them into your womb chakra. Okay, your physical womb, your uterus, that's one physical portal, and also your womb chakra, your energy center, that is your womb chakra. You work with those and the sun, your magic is 10 times more powerful. Why do you think patriarchy erased that and had women focus on moon? Because you can't be anywhere near as powerful working with that energy. That is a supportive energy. It is not the energy of creation and sustaining life force energy. That's not what the moon is or does. Wake up to the inversion. Wake up. As you start to rethink when you are encouraged to follow the moon's cycle for magic and spells and creating and manifesting and your vision boards and whatever your journal writing and your manifestation journal. I have for a long time told people throw all that shit away. You don't even understand energetically how it all works. You learn that in our classes at Masters of Self University. Higher levels of energetics, you're understanding these things on a much higher level until you get to the point of, okay, let's work with let's actually learn magic now. And let's learn how to do this. And by the way, so I want to mention this because I don't want to leave divine men out of this. All of you men, because I mentioned for women, we are natural portals. And we have massive double portal, an energetic womb portal, and a literal physical womb portal. We have portals to work with all of this stuff. So magic and creation and power, we have it like you can't imagine. Again, why patriarchy harvests us, represses everything in what feminine as much as possible in order to own, oppress, control us because they're harvesting our powers. That's literally what patriarchy is doing. That's what this whole spiritual war is all about. So men, divine men, those of you who are healing and elevating and raising your frequencies and doing all the beautiful things to become healed, whole, powerful divine men, okay? I want you to understand something. For you to utilize your feminine energy, because you don't manifest and create anything without feminine. So it's your internal feminine energy to manifest and create. But you don't have a womb, do you? You don't have portals the way that women do. So you would actually you would do it in a different way. Mostly your heart chakra. Okay. So I'm always teaching people, drop in your heart, get out of your fucking minds, drop in your heart. You manifest much more powerfully when you're able to do that. And I'll teach classes on this with magic and stuff. Year 3 students at Masters of Self University will have classes on this stuff, so you can learn how to do it. But I just wanted to mention that for men, because it doesn't mean you cannot have the power, utilize your own internal divine feminine power, but you need to build your feminine power. Like your indoctrination, part of how that manifests as a man in this society, is to completely negate your feminine power. And then without realizing it, you're tricked into harvesting women's, especially if you're a heterosexual man, right? In a relationship, you're conditioned to harvest from women, friends, girlfriends, lovers, wives. That's why you cheat with 9 fucking women. You're harvesting energy constantly, whether you've ever realized it or not. Okay. So that's all done to oppress women, and so that you can be successful and manifest anything you want. You're just taking the woman's powerful divine energy to do it. You're hijacking it. You're stealing it. It's harvesting. All right. So for men, though, the way that you learn is going to be very different. Some will be the same. Some things will overlap and be the same, men and women. But the way that you learn this is also, some things are going to be very, very different. You have to learn how to do it for you if you're a man compared to a woman. And those of you men who I'm speaking to, who are divine men, healing and elevating and doing all the things, it's really important that you learn how to activate your divine feminine energy and know what that actually feels like inside of your body, what that actually feels like. So if you're not a student at Masters of Self University, for example, and you're not getting all this education and taking classes and learning all the higher levels of energetics, if you're not doing that, then it's, obviously I can't teach to you just on a podcast. Like, you need to come to actual class. What class is for, right? There's all these classes and levels of classes, higher levels of classes are for. But one tip that you can, to the best of your ability, that I really encourage you to do on your own, activate divine feminine energy within yourself and really begin to connect with that and feel what that feels like. Okay. I also encourage you to help you to go out into the sun and do it while you're sitting out in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. What the sun will do when you're activating the feminine energy that is a reflection of her, you'll feel very differently energetically. Things will start to transform and change. So you want to grow the power of your feminine energy as much as possible in order to create in a really divine, healthy, powerful way. That's at least one place that you can start if you're a man who's healing himself and elevating, becoming more balanced in his energy, since it's not that toxic, patriarchal asshole that patriarchy has brainwashed and conditioned men to be monsters. This, you who I'm speaking to, listening to this, becoming a divine man, healing, elevating, get rid of your shadow self, get rid of those stupid wounds, get rid of all the misogyny programs, and really anchor in and try to feel what it feels like when your divine feminine energy is flowing through you, right? We all have masculine and feminine energy. Everybody should know that by now, right? But the problem is, men, part of your brainwashing is to completely get rid of it in every way from yourself and harvest it from women around you, because it doesn't make sense. But if you activate it and start bringing it forth in yourself, that is your power to transform, alchemy, to heal, and also to create and manifest. Okay. So it's a feminine energy that does all that. So you want to activate your own source of feminine energy that actually comes from you. It has your divine soul imprint on it because it's flowing through you, not harvesting and stealing it from someone else. Okay. So that's my encouragement for you to practice that and explore that and play with that. Have fun with it. Just try to sense your own feminine energy coming online and activate it and pour more into it. All right. So, how many of you felt like you had a big freaking kick to the gut to hear that patriarchy gave our son a sex change, and the sun is feminine. It can be very jarring to wake up to the truth. And for many of you who've been going through waking up process for a very long time, you know there's different stages to it. And sometimes certain things are more jarring than others. I think for a lot of women who you've been trying so hard, working so hard on waking up, but you really got that indoctrinated, brainwashed, all your focused attention goes to the moon and darkness and lunar cycle and blah, blah, blah. It could be pretty jarring. So my encouragement is, where are you triggered? What are the programs, mental, emotional, behavioral? Alchemize that, sit with them. Sit with what comes up when it's like, holy shit, I've been pouring all my energy into like lunar cycles and moonness and spell witchcraft and spells and enchantments and magic into the moon, everything's the moon, everything's a cycle of the moon. Yeah. So that you keep pouring your energy into patriarchy, thinking you're pouring it into the feminine. You understand? This is when I've taught in the past, you consent to all the shit you don't want. Energetically, you consent. You don't even know you're doing it. You're tricked into doing it. Free will choice, you don't have it until you wake up to a certain level of all of this stuff and you are powerful enough to work with energy at higher levels on the quantum level and realize, oh, this is how I activate my actual free will choice. You don't have free will choice when you don't even know what the fucking truth is. Let that sink in, truly. You do not actually have free will choice when you don't even know what the truth is, because whatever you consent to, pour your focused attention, all your energy into, you don't even know what you're pouring it into. You think you're pouring it into something, and you're pouring it into something completely different, because that's the inversion from patriarchy. I know, frustrating. It's why it takes such a long time for people to heal, because they tend to pour their energies into things that they don't even realize what they're doing. They recreate their old realities and energetic frequencies. They don't even know how, because the education isn't there. It exists at Masters of Self University. We teach all this stuff. I want you to know there's a true, genuine, authentic resource for you. Okay? Like, that's why this exists. That's why I created this organization. So it exists. You can learn all this stuff in classes, but people don't even have a clue that they're using their quote unquote free will choice all the time. You're consenting to evil and anchoring this shit in on the planet. You don't even know you're doing it. I don't consent to that. Yes, you fucking do. Energetically, you do. You're helping to co-create it, and you don't even know how. If you're not aware of what your energy is actually doing at any given moment, how is that free will choice? It isn't. You're brainwashed. You're indoctrinated. You're a puppet. You're a slave. That's the point. Do you understand? So I know for a lot of women, especially when you're really focused on those lunar cycles and the moon, and that's feminine, it is not even remotely close to the truth. So all of the spell work and witchcraft, and again, I'm always talking about healthy, benevolent, divine, wonderful spell work of the light, nothing evil. But a lot of that stuff was rewritten to trick you into consenting to anchoring in patriarchal stuff, and to never get out of it, and to trap yourself in it and not even know how you're doing it. If you learn to work with energy and you're connected to your own divine soul first, and you learn to raise your frequency and clear out your wounds, you will feel, when you put all your energy towards like the moon, for example, you'll feel how off it feels, how dark and negative it can actually really feel, how, what's a word I could, like superficial. It's like distorted. You can feel the manipulation energy in it. because it's not coming from purity. It's distorted. It's inversion. You're consenting and putting energy to something that, again, ignorance, you're dumb and blind that that's what you're actually doing. Because I have this beautiful spell book and I'm learning witchcraft. This is great. I want to help the world through that. Well, you're not. So my encouragement would be anybody that practices stuff like that. My encouragement would be, first of all, heal, elevate, alchemize, transform any negative emotions and reactions to discovering something like this. You got to do that first. That's always what you do first. It's always what we teach at MSU. Then, well, how could you change that to where you're sitting out in the sun doing it? And I know that it gets confusing, but what about our menstrual cycles synced up with the moon? And aren't we supposed to flow? I did a podcast on, women following their menstrual cycle for transmissions from the universe and their creativity. And that's how we're meant to lead everyone. We're supposed to lead from our natural cycles because we are in sync with, if we're healthy and whole and we're healed mentally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. But we're meant to lead for a reason. We're the ones in sync with Mother Earth. It's that simple. That part's black and white. We're the ones in sync with the source, goddess of all. We're the ones in sync with the multiverse, with our physical cycle. We're women. That's what we are here for. That's why people are supposed to follow us. We're leaders. Okay. And we benefit all. Like this oneness. This isn't y'all should know that by now. Go listen to the previous podcast if you're new here. Get all that education, then come back. So here's the thing. Sit in the sun and look at maybe the manifestations, or when you write in your manifestation journal, whatever you try to do to create things and bring it into manifested form. If you are somebody that practices, spell work and things like that, really take a look at the book you're using and who wrote it, and also feel into it. How can I consider changing this to where I'm sitting in the sun doing it, or I use the sun's light and energy? How are we synced up with the moon and the lunar cycle when we're women? What does this mean? We're supposed to manifest, even what I taught in that last podcast episode, that we should be teaching and leading from our cycles, period, end. But it's like, Rachel, but the cycle is synced up with the moon. It is artificially done that way. That's been imposed upon us. That is not our normal cycle, isn't directly connected to, we shouldn't be following the moon. The months of the year aren't even accurate, y'all. The days of each month are not even accurate. Everything is inverted. We don't have the slightest clue what it means to be in full synchronicity. Our menstrual cycle connected to Mother Earth, connected to the sun, then connected to the moon. Okay? All of that is scrambled. All of that is scrambled. It's like you wanted 2 sunny side up eggs and you just got scramble instead. And you're like, I don't want that. Everything is scrambled. So I'm going to leave it there for now, because otherwise it's too much. What do we do? Do I fuck the moon? No, get out of here, moon. Like, I shouldn't have the moon. Listen, just breathe, alchemize what comes up for you, the programming that might come up. Some of you way more than others. Some of you are like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. Now that you say it out loud, oh, I knew it. But some of you, this might be really jarring because, we're in our spiritual egos. And, I'm a moon goddess and I'm a blah, 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 and I'm a whatever. You got to process, alchemize, transform whatever comes up for you, and then just feel into, sit in the sun. And again, for those of you who do like spell work or magic and beautiful enchantments and different things. Like, sit in the sun and ask the sun's light. She will begin to guide you in a very different way once you actually acknowledge her for who she is. Who wants to pay attention to you? If your name is Margaret and somebody keeps calling you, hey, Sam, bro, what's up, Sam? Hey, bro. Are you like, what the fuck? Are you going to want to acknowledge that person, man or woman? Let that sink in, right? Your name is Patricia. And somebody keeps calling you Mark and referring to you as bro. You're like, but hello, like, my name is Patricia. You're not going to pay much attention. But somebody walks up to you and says, oh my gosh, I see you now. Your name is Patricia. Hi, Patricia. I'm so sorry that I was calling you Mark before. I'm so sorry. I'm calling you bro. It is an honor to meet you. I am the way of honoring. Honor the sun. She gives you life and sustains your life, literally. Honor her. Feel her. Get to know her. Those are the first steps anyway. Clear out your wounding, clear out your programming, your distortions, your brainwashing. You got to do that part on your own. Like, you have to do that. We teach you how to do it at Masters of Self University. You could come learn how to do all that, but you still do it on your own. You learn how to do it for yourself. You learn how to identify whatever programming and wounds, unhealed traumas and things that you have. And then that is your responsibility as the way of responsibility to alchemize that, transform it, and not let that be a part of your identity anymore. You don't need to be a wounded idiot. Like, get out of here. You can heal all that, alchemize it, transform it. And then when you learn to work with magic, it's coming from the way of purity because you've purified yourself first. Then you get to meet sun goddesses, deities that have been erased from the inverted old earth. You identify her in who she really is. In the way of honoring, honor her. Meet the sun. Acknowledge her. Communicate with her. And give her time to heal herself from your dismissal of her, from your wrong labeling of her, from the sex change that she had that she didn't want, and the false identity that was not authentic, because that's what patriarchy does. So that's my encouragement. Feel the sun, see her in a different way. Okay, let her burn away, help you to burn away. When you're willing to heal your own wounds and indoctrination and bullshit that you've been programmed with and brainwashed with, she will commune with you in oneness if you are the way of honoring to her and the way of purity and the way of integrity, etc., the way of responsibility, alchemizing and healing your own crap. She'll commune with you and join with you in oneness and help burn away all the crap so that you can now see her for what she is, giver and sustainer of life. That's feminine energy. That's our sun. It's time to honor her for who and what she is. That feminine soul, like all women and all feminine souls and goddesses and deities that have existed that have been erased, they're all coming back online. Sacred feminine is rising. She cannot be stopped, but she can be accelerated by you doing the inner work on yourself. Whether you're a woman or a man. Men, you need to do all of this healing within yourself. You're brainwashed and indoctrinated by patriarchy too. Obviously, we all are. until we are no longer. That takes work, and it is war. I will always call it warrior's work because it is hard work, and you don't do it in one weekend or a month or a year. It is ongoing. You have to reach level to the next level, to the next level, achieve the next level, master that level, then achieve the next level. This system of inversion has been happening for ever, way too long. You're not going to undo it and unplug from it in a matter of a few months or a year or two. Like, this is an ongoing, great awakening lifetime process in order to transform all of this and create a new earth back to the feminine planet that she is. Okay? Thank you for listening. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next episode, everybody.